Us here for this post-match press conference. We're joined by Chris Silverwood from Sri Lanka, and we'll be taking questions from in the room and also any online via Zoom. So can we see show of hands, please, for questions for that side? Paul, do you want to start us?
Chris, how was that experience for you? It must have been a weird one in many ways.
No, to be honest, I've been asked that question obviously a lot in the last few days. To me, it was just another game, and that's how I viewed it. It was nice to catch up with some unfamiliar faces. So obviously, I've still got a lot of friends in that camp. But today was about obviously trying to win and doing all the preparation we had to do to give us the best chance of doing that. And also, a big part of it was watching the team continue to progress and develop the methods of play that they have been doing over the last few months. So as disappointing as losing this today, what I did see was a lot of character from my boys out there. We were finding ways of getting into the game, and we pushed England.
I was going to say, did you think you were going to do it there at the end? It was getting quite nerve-wracking, wasn't it?
It was. You'd have to say that Ben had it under control out there for quite a period. If we could maybe have nipped in and got one more wicket there, it would have made things very interesting.
You obviously came into this tournament having won the Asia Cup in quite or very different conditions. What are the biggest learnings you've taken from this tournament? And you talked about wanting the team to continue to build and grow.
Yeah, it's obviously it was great for the group to win the Asia Cup. it was great for the country as well with everything that we've been going through. To actually better put a smile on their face was fantastic, and the support we've received from everybody, obviously back in Sri Lanka, has been great as well. But for me, the methods that we've put in place, which started in the white ball series in Sri Lanka before we went to the Asia Cup, just to see things progress there. Building partnerships, making sure we know when to attack and when not to attack with the ball, when to squeeze, and putting an aggressive slant on it, but with a Sri Lankan swagger, so to speak. And that's what I want them to be. I want them to be themselves, go out there and express themselves, and continue to develop as they have it.
It's one of the things you need to look at when you get back to Sri Lanka is the recurrence of injuries that you've had. Do you think there's something deeper in the game that needs to be addressed there, or has it just been bad luck?
There's probably been a little bit of bad luck in there, and things that we probably need to address as well. There'll be questions that myself, my staff, and obviously the hierarchy back in Sri Lanka will delve into. I'm not going to go into too many of them right now because obviously that would be unfair, but there's certainly things that we'll be looking for. What can we do better, and how can we improve that? Because it makes life difficult when you pick up so many injuries. How do we minimise that?
Chris, Stevie.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're right. This is the third game to be played on that pitch. Was there any consideration to play a third spinner, just given the way how it's going to slow up?
Well, we always had obviously three spinners in the group anyway, and Charith could back up a little bit there. So to go with the extra spinner would have looked very imbalanced, and had it not worked, we'd have been stuck. So we just wanted to make sure that we had that little bit of variety in the attack as well.
That was probably your best fielding performance of the tournament, wasn't it? And is that anything to do with the pressure being off a little bit?
Maybe. Fielding is something that we need to work on. We're not going to shy away from that, and it's not something that we've hidden from either, sort of in the press or anything like that. It is an ongoing progress and something we must get better at.
And we saw both innings, I guess, follow a similar pattern, didn't we? That runs were much easier against the hard ball. Were you surprised by how difficult batting became for both sides?
Not really, because we saw it a little bit in the game that we played on it before, and having watched obviously the previous game that was played on there as well, we knew that once that new ball got older, it was going to start sort of sticking in a wicket a little bit and holding up. So we thought if we could have posted if we could have got 20 more runs, maybe 160 would have been a very competitive score on that.
Yeah, next World Cup is going to be held in India. It's friendly condition. What I think about that?
I think it'll be conditions that we're sort of used to, so it will help us in that. But at the same time, there's things that we have to continue building on. Obviously, fielding we've just touched on. So there's things that we need to work on going into that as well, and certainly things that we'll be reviewing when we get back, when we sit down and have a debrief, have a look at where we need to improve.
So, Chris, given the tough time you had out here during the Ashes last summer, how do you feel about Australia going out of the tournament?
I don't feel anything, to be honest. That's not my concern.
And now you're out of it, who do you think is favourite to win it?
I think at this stage, any team can win, to be honest. It's who turns up on the day. Obviously, I wish England overlook. I've got so many old friends in there and what have you, but I think it's whoever turns up on the day now. There's some good teams in there.
Because Kusal Mendes seems to have turned things around. It was a huge call a couple of months back to give him the wicket-keeping gloves and to get him to open the innings. He's just finished the tournament as the highest run getter. That must be pretty pleasing.
It is. Obviously, he stepped up there. He scored runs at the top and kept tidily as well. So we're very pleased with him. I'm very pleased with the top order in general, the way that they've built the platform for us to go from the power that we've got, top 5, 6, 7 there. So what they've done, I think they've grown. They've developed the method of playing, which is to build that platform, to build partnerships. We don't have the power of some of the other teams, so we have to run people ragged. So that's why we're trying to hit pockets. But we are developing an understanding of what suits us and how we can play.
Gordon wanting to Asaranga. IS wicket taken in the last World Cup and IS wicket taken in this World Cup as well.
He's a match winner, isn't he? You pay money to watch him. He's a good player.
Chris, Patrick Sanka played pretty well today, and he seems to have been a guy who's progressed really well over the past 12 months. Since you took over, how impressed have you been with him?
Very impressed. Again, we've seen him go from strength to strength. It's not always been easy for him, but what he does, he fights hard and he works hard in the nets, practices well, practices with purpose. And then we're seeing that coming out in his game now. All the runs he's scoring will give him confidence. So hopefully, that will gel that top order together.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Sorry, apologies if you've been asked this. I arrived late. But Ben Stokes has had a kind of a difficult tournament with the bat so far, but he got England over the line today. You know all about his qualities. How important is he for England for the rest of this tournament now in the knockout stage?
Well, firstly, there's a lot of good players in that England dressing room, but Ben has been the talisman over the last few years, hasn't he? So I think getting the team over the line tonight will do his confidence good. It's all about peaking at the right time, really. So watch his space with him, because you can never rule him out, can you?
Okay, any other questions? Maybe time for one more? No? Okay, great. That'll do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.